Shalom, giving all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai Bashim Kodash, double honors unto the apostles of great millstone, and honest your brothers to be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So I'm the Bubble Eye Body coming out here to give you this truth through the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shema Shai Bashim Kodash, giving all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai Bashim Kodash. And in this particular video, I wanted to go through this topic here, and this is the potential famine and drought, that we're going to see out there within the United States. I got this article here on Zero Hedge, and hopefully it's going to be of edification. I'm going to read it pretty much point for point and make commentary as I go. But there's a whole bunch of situations out here that are going to have it to where prophecies is going to be played out within the earth. So without much further ado, let me read this. It says, one shocking chart that has farmers trembling with fear. Readers know about the Western US is facing one of the most severe droughts in years. And we know from the scriptures, in the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, it speaks about in the last days how that there was going to be famines. There was going to be droughts, all types of different terrible situations that was going to be played out within the earth. We've documented this spring of a mega drought sweeping across states like California, Nevada, as risks of second dust bowl increases by the day. So that's the situation that's playing out there within those locations stated. And obviously there's going to be an impact on food. Obviously there's going to be an impact on farmers, food prices, access to food. And these are all end of world type scenarios, because you got to remember, America, there's a lot of people within it. And they got to feed. Everybody's got to eat, right? Everybody's got to eat. Well, you're seeing the situation for eating is going to be more difficult, whether you're talking about the food, the global food chain and food supply being absolutely hammered and destroyed, or whether you're talking about inflation in terms of currency, or whether you're talking about farmers not being able to produce because of drought. And see, it was all good and well when you had it where drought was out there in Africa somewhere, but now you're seeing that the Most High is unleashing these plagues upon Babylon. But in this note, let's dive deeper into the drought and how it's impacting farmers and the potential consequences it could have on crops. So meteorologists at BAMXWX have published data on surface soil moisture over 20 years. Surface soil moisture is the water that is in the upper 4 inches and available for various types of plants. So this is what they document. They found that in 2021, the moisture deficit for early June is the worst it's been in 2 decades, right? So the surface water, as surface runoff. When you study geography, not necessarily surface runoff. When you have surface runoff, when it rains, it's held within the soil for a certain amount of time before either it evaporates or the plants drink it up. So within the last 20 years, it's at the lowest point. They found that in 2021. So we read that bit. The BAMWX, as his vice Brian says, the moisture deficit in the soil is a concern as it may impact plant development. Soil moisture plays a crucial role in agriculture monitoring, drought and flood forecasting, forest fire predictions, and water supply management. Soil moisture observations can alert of impending droughts, such as what was underway in the Western US this year. So you already had a drought out there within the western part of the US, but it's looking like there's going to be another drought. Let's continue. It says, what this means is that the soil moisture deficit can dry crops and make them more vulnerable to pests. Even short-term drought can cause damage to crops, mainly during critical stages of crop development. Because when you got it to where you got corn or whatever, I think corn is probably the number one produced item out there within the United States. In its development, it hasn't got big, long roots. What's happening is that the crop is sucking up the water that is readily available within the 4 inches of soil that they showed you right there that they were speaking about. What it means is so we read that bit. And if the drought persists, crop yields could come under estimate this year and result in elevated agricultural prices. And agricultural prices, they impact everybody, man. They impact everybody. They impact everybody. So you ain't gonna have a situation where one individual is gonna be eating. Where you gonna get the food from? If there's a drought, you got a drought. You got a drought, man. Okay. If you got a drought, you got a drought. There's no two ways about it. You ain't gonna be able to buy your way out of a drought. So let's read the precept out there within the book of Mark, the 13th chapter. And we could just search the word famine. So the Most High he's plaguing Babylon right now, man. He's plaguing Babylon, and it's gonna be seen pretty soon that the Most High is against this place. So let's go to this scripture here. Let's go to Matthew, the 13th chapter. Excuse me. Mark, the 13th chapter. Salakia. All right, Mark 13 and Mark 13 and 8, it says, for nation shall rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrow. So we're getting into the times of the beginning of sorrows, man, where you ain't going to be able to feed your children. You ain't going to be able to go out and party and chill out. I mean, the spirit of mirth is pretty much done in this place, and the spirit of suffering is going to be unleashed upon America, which is Babylon within the scriptures. And part of that is the famines that we've just been reading about a second ago within that particular article. So hopefully that was a verification. With that, I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh, double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone, and honor your brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.